All right, guys. We are here today. It is Thursday. We got jobless claims, unemployment filings. Honestly, Nvidia is flying up this morning. Like, this is a crazy move for Nvidia. Almost up to $130 a share here, which is kind of crazy. Again, huge momentum this morning. I don't know why it's flying up, but it is. Let's get started and talk about it. We got jobless claims, unemployment filings dropping at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time today. We'll see what that means for the markets. We'll see if it helps, hurts the market. We'll see if we get good reactions, bad reactions. Jobless claims are expected, I believe, at 230,000, if I remember correctly, for jobless claims numbers. 230K is what I think they're expected at. I think they're expected at 230K. So, yeah, we'll see what we get. Chat, we'll see what we get. As always, remember, as we start the stream, I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable. If you lose money, I have no idea what I'm talking about. If you copy me and lose, it's your own fault. And don't sue me, basically, is what I'm saying. I'm not liable if you do. You're not going to win, you know. That's all I'm saying. So good luck. And again, let's try to make some money today. It is Thursday, the 22nd. Look at Nvidia, though, here on the left side, dude. Wow. That's a crazy move, honestly, man. Like, look at it up here. Flying up to 130s right now. Catch it back up in the chat. Keegan, Dark, Ollie, T, Keith, Tiny, Jay, Dree, Jimmy, Sandy, JP, Eden, Hoff. What's up, guys? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Jobless claims today are expected at 230,000. I'll put this up on screen. And this is all leading into Jackson Hole Symposium. Alright. See, I like my little layout here. Let me edit this so that I can make this a little bit better. I think like doing it like this is probably better, where I can still see everything. You can still see me, but look at Nvidia up there, guys. Wow, making moves. Yeah, I got you guys. I'll put a timer up. All right. All right. Look at Nvidia, just broke 130s here. Wow. What did I do here? Oops. No. There we go. Look at the SPY breaking highs too. Gold is still at 2540s here, so gold is still down. Yeah, so gold's still up a lot over the last couple weeks as, just stuff going on, breaking highs, doing some stuff. This one is called Welcome Home by DJ Dins, the Rooster. I hope Tesla goes down to 200. Where's Tesla at right now? I haven't even looked at it really today. I see Nvidia running up big. I'm assuming there's some type of news that we're going to get ready to cover here. Again, remember, the big earnings report for Nvidia starts next week. We had a BJ Wholesale Club go in at 109 EPS versus 1 expected. Revenue of 5.09, lower than expected revenue. Fiscal year PS view was 4 versus 393. So I bet you they're probably gapping up because of good guidance, even though they had, oh no, they're gapping down here. Interesting. Carlisle Group is going to acquire Advanced Auto Parts workplace unit for $1.5 billion. According to Bloomberg, Walmart launching a dining benefit with restaurant brands Burger King. Burger King's struggling though, man. Like, let's be honest here. Nobody goes to Burger King anymore like that. I know I haven't been in freaking years. The Bank of Japan is considering adding wage-related items to the Tankan survey, according to news. Aims to analyze wage trends reflects on monetary policy decision. NetEase posting 167 EPS, missed EPS, revenue lower than expected as well. Baidu, which is kind of like an overseas social media platform, showed up at 289 versus 257, revenue of 4.669 versus 4.7, so lower revenue but a better EPS. Again, tomorrow's Jackson Hole Symposium. We also have jobless claims today, of course, and then manufacturing services PMI at 945 today as well. So a couple big job releases today. Is there any Nvidia news is the question. Like, I'm trying to see if there's anything. All right, so earnings forecasts are rising. Nvidia was gaining early this morning. The chipmaker is getting more endorsements ahead of its earnings report next week. Their shares are up. Stock closed 1% higher yesterday. Focus on market is Nvidia's report next Wednesday, when the company is expected to post second quarter earnings of 64 cents a share and revenue of 28.65 billion, according to FactSet poll. In the past week, the estimate has been revised up 10% relative to what it was initially expected at. So up 10% for expectations for their earnings, basically noted NN Associates founder Louis Navalier, which could bode well for the results. They said, quote, typically positive analysts' earnings revisions precede future earnings surprises, according to Navalier. He wrote in a research note. So basically, they increased their expectations for earnings about 10%, and Nvidia is rising as it should on that news, continuing this massive rebound that it's seen since the yen carry disaster a couple weeks ago. All right, so yeah, gold pulling back. Where's the SPY at? So I know the SPY is getting pretty close to lifetime highs. Here's the lifetime highs at 565.16 on the SPY right here. And we're getting pretty close to that. Like, we're right here. So we're getting close to lifetime highs. You know, this is lifetime highs on the SPY right here. So we're getting very close. We could certainly break it. And again, today's jobless numbers could help or hurt this. The big thing is going to be tomorrow with Jackson Hole. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about how much I make or lose. I'm up thousands on the year is all I'll say, right? Like but again, I'm not claiming to be good, not claiming to be profitable. Like, you know, I think it's, you know, the reason I avoid questions like that is because, you know, I have a very clear stance, which is that, hey, I'm not an expert. I'm not a guru. I'm not selling a course. I'm not selling a service of my own stuff. I'm just kind of giving away everything for free, covering economic data reports as soon as they happen, covering earnings, stuff like that. I'm a long-term investor, and I day trade, sure, but I'm not guaranteeing or claiming anything, you know, and I think that makes it really hard for, like, haters to smack talk. Right? Like, it's really hard to criticize somebody that gives away everything for free, right? So if I make somebody insecure and they want to hate on me, it's kind of hard to, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to find a valid reason to hate, and so they just end up looking insecure from it. And the way I do that is by just not covering any of that stuff, and then also just telling you, hey, look, I'm not an investment professional. Don't copy me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Top 3 worst traders of all time ever in the world. Don't copy me. Anyways, Nvidia's breaking highs is up to 130.60s. Up to 562s today on the SPY. So again, we're getting close. Nvidia's dragging the market up. Nvidia earnings have been revised up 10%. From previous expectations. We'll put that up on screen so you guys can see kind of what's going on. That's what's going on right now. And that is why Nvidia is pumping up to almost 131s. John, it's worth billions. I would say trillions with a T. You know, trillions of foam peanuts, just to clarify. You know, trillions of foam peanuts. Anyways, Nvidia up to 131s right now. 131. SPY up to 562s. Let's see if it holds. Yeah, I mean, Jared, I don't, again, that goes against the whole theme of everything, you know what I mean? It should matter. I'm not claiming to be a good trader. My channel's literally called Beginner Trading, so, you know, you'll be all right. No, don't do it. Hoff. I'm still holding my 920 Nvidia 136 through earnings. Good luck, bro. Just remember, it's risky. If you're going to hold Nvidia, you got to be smart and just be safe with it and understand long-term edge is the biggest edge. Taking a big position ahead of the earnings report is a risky thing, so just be careful, brother. You know, that's all I'm saying. The unrealized gain thing is for people worth over 100 mil. Yeah, it's a crazy rule. It should never happen, and I don't think it will ever happen. It's just too easy. It's going to open up a can of worms if they start trying to tax unrealized gains. It just doesn't make sense, right? It's not practical, you know. Big money can do a lot of things, including throw huge unrealized gains up in their portfolios intentionally to order to write off massive tax bills, right? Like that's a very obvious consequence of the of starting to tax unrealized gains and profit. It just doesn't make sense. And if it's only one side, then it's even crazier, where you're only taxing unrealized profit. It's basically making it so that it's incredibly difficult to make money. So yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking at Nvidia though. We'll see if Nvidia slows down. Them revising earnings up 10%. If we look at their actual earnings report, and again, Nvidia earnings are our largest stream ever. We had over 10,000 concurrent watchers last Nvidia earnings. This next one is next Wednesday, so it's a huge report, to be honest. And I'm trying to see what they're expecting here. Let me see. Wednesday the 28th in the evening. Yeah, so they're expecting about 59 cents a share on 28.24 bill in revenue. So silly question. I'm struggling to understand when to take profit. I mean, everybody's different, you know. Depends on the system. There's not one universal answer, really. Even for high net worth individuals, it's even worse for them because they're going to be the ones that throw up like massive unrealized losses on their portfolio just to be able to pay less taxes, right? Like that's the obvious consequence of that. They can maneuver it however they want, and it's just going to make it worse, right? Again, I don't think it'll ever happen. I think every CEO in the world would be against it, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be easier. Like, you know, let it out, Jay. It's okay. I mean, you're banned for life, but let it out, man. It's all right. Listen, you know, I'll be your Huckleberry. If you want to sit here and just let out your, you know, fears in life, like, listen, it's all good, brother. Only ways to cut Fed spending. We are running at 1 trillion. Yeah, I mean, we can. We'll see if it helps. SPY RSI looks a bit high up there. I mean, yeah, SPY is close to all-time highs. You know, SPY all-time highs are 565s. Yeah, for sure. Tesla, yes. Tesla, is it still... I didn't really look at it this morning. Here's gold. There's Tesla. Tesla's still at 225s. Looking strong, man. Looking strong, up to 225s. Double top? Double top where? SPY? I don't see one on the SPY. SPY just broke highs of the last few days, really. Or wait, well, let's see. Where's this level at? This is okay. So this actually might be where we're at right now. So we're testing the high of the last few days on the SPY. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do there, but yeah. Right. Thank you, Ty. 100%. That's exactly how I see him in my mind, Ty. He says, "Hi, I'm an anonymous internet person, and I'm requiring that you validate your existence for me to feel better about this free content." Yeah. I mean, if you rephrased it, it would more so be, "Hi, anybody's success makes me insecure, and I want to immediately lash out at them and try to make them feel bad because misery loves company. And I do that therapeutically through going into people's live streams on the internet and trying to poke at them. You know, that if they were being honest, and again, maybe if they're narcissistic or if they're sociopathic, they might never be honest with themselves about it, right? But don't get it twisted. That's what they're doing here. You know, that's what they're doing. Spy forgot to add. Yeah, I mean, Spy is up there. Again, this is a big resistance level. So do we even react to this unemployment data if they revise it way more later? Yes, I think we react to it. How much it depends. Yeah, let's do a poll. I got you. Hold on. This is a crazy move for Nvidia. I guess the only question is, do we get higher or lower jobless claims? Higher, lower. There we go. All right, so vote on that poll. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, definitely top 3 worst trader of all time, Snow. Who revised earnings? What I'm showing in terms of who revised it. Let me see. Most analysts, so it's not just one, it's multiple analyst expectations and consensuses have been revised upward by 20%. So not just one, but I believe multiple different, like the people who give these estimates are banks, investment firms, you know, ratings and stuff like that. And so they all revised them up for the most part. Not all of them, but yeah. The real question is, can we trust it? I don't know. Good question. Data's coming out in a little bit over an hour. Looking at our poll, 92% think they come in higher. So higher would signal more people filing for unemployment. Lower would signal less people filing for unemployment. And so again, we'll see. But we did have earnings yesterday, I believe, right? Let me make sure. No, it wasn't today. I thought we had big earnings today. Or maybe that was yesterday we had Snow. Yeah. So yesterday we had... How did Snow do for their earnings? I'm late on this one. So Snow is big downward pressure here. Big downward reaction. Gapping down to 121. I'm assuming they missed. Let me look this up. This was probably the big one that we had yesterday. So Snow posted... They approved a $2.5 billion buyback. They posted a second quarter loss per share of 95 cents. Adjusted EPS of 18, beat 16, sales beat estimates as well. So they beat EPS, beat revenue. I don't see guidance numbers. I'm trying to see what they expected for guidance numbers. Yeah, so they beat EPS, beat revenue. Still down a lot though, which is interesting. Higher just signals more people filing for unemployment, so it's more bearish, I would say, for markets right now. Market wants economic strength to show that we're resilient in the economy and we're not heading towards a depression or recession. And so higher signals more of that. More heading towards a recession, depression, that means. Now, these are week-to-week unemployment filings, so you got to take it with a grain of salt, but still. Yeah, but to be fair, Ty, I'm pretty sure they named it that before the stereotype nickname came out, right? I'm pretty sure their name was that way before. Like that name in that regard only came out, what, in the last like 5-6 years? And so I'm pretty sure they named it that. They were first, you know? kind of a bad look on the company to name your company that and then have the word change so much in such a short period of time. But I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Netflix is pulling back. Honestly, I really like Netflix as a company too. I think Netflix is very strong. It's up so much though over the last year straight. Or maybe it's not really up that much, I guess. So it was at 560 to start the year. It's at 690. So it's still that's still a huge percentage, but or no, never mind. Sorry, it was at under 500 to start the year. So yeah, it's up a huge amount. Sorry. My daily chart zoomed out to 3 years instead of 1 year. But yeah, still really big percentage gains. Triple top of what? All right, guys, let's do this. All right, Peloton at mid-single, like 6. They returned it to growth today. Maybe they can up 10% pre. Peloton, terrible company. I would never buy it personally. Yeah. Too much competition. Number one, competition basically, like, there's nothing proprietary about Peloton, in all honesty, right? Like, a lot of these companies do this exact thing. Peloton was the big name for a few years, but I think that has kind of settled down a little bit, even though they're up from earnings. A revision with what was already a late report. I have a feeling it's a lot worse. And for what? Are you talking about yesterday's payroll revision? You know, yeah, I mean, just understand, like, that data is lagging. So that data is from last year to spring of this year. So it's like 5 months old. And the market didn't really react to it, and instead actually pumped up yesterday despite everything. So, you know, the Fed minutes report, I guess, helped the market a little bit if you look at it. But we actually kind of, the Fed minutes came out. Fed minutes report came out. Alright, so 12:30 market time, 14. So Fed minutes report kind of came out right here. And we initially reacted negatively, but we ended up rebounding back up. Again, a lot of this is Nvidia revisions to their earnings helping it over 130. Now, 130 should be a milestone level, I would assume. Looking at some other stuff, again, we can look at like gold. Gold's one to watch right now with all the economic speculation going on. Again, Jackson Hole Symposium is tomorrow. That's a massive report. All right, guys. Yeah, I mean, that's great, Katie. Katie says, I ride a PTON bike 4 to 5 days a week. I love it. Sure. But, I mean, eventually I'm going to tell you it's like this, right? So, Peloton, I did a poll a long time ago, and it was, would you rather have a Peloton or an actual bicycle? And most people chose an actual bicycle. Like, even if you get a Peloton, right? I think a lot of people are going to get one and then get the itch to just ride a real bike instead of sitting in some enclosed space. Like, sunlight's good for people, you know? So sitting inside a room and riding a virtual reality bicycle, you know, the only people that are really going to buy that type of stuff, like, there's always outliers. You're going to have some people that enjoy it. But the business that I'm sure Peloton is looking for is specifically gym business, like gyms buying up their machines and then letting people use their machines while they're at the gym. Those are the most people that are going to want to use it in that way. And, you know, I think that kind of, there's too much competition for Peloton to be okay long term. You know, maybe it's cheap down here. Maybe Peloton does okay down here. I really don't know it well enough and know the business well enough. What I will say is that I called this downward long-term trend for Peloton. You know, Peloton should have never ever been where it was, which was over $100 a share. It just was never worth that much. And I was saying that years ago, and it's down big. I don't trust it anymore, I guess is the point. I genuinely don't trust it. I mean, we had 818,000 revision yesterday. Yeah, it looks like my chat room is frozen here. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to reset this. I'm going to reset my StreamYard. So just give me a second. I'm just going to reset it. It might go out for just a second, but I'll be right back. The stream shouldn't go out itself, but I might be quiet for a second, or it might be blank for a second. So just give me a second. All right, we're back. All right, so yeah, I don't know if it went out or what happened there, but yeah, we're back. I'll share my screen again, and we're back. Weather restrictions, price of Peloton crazy, $650 million this quarter. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're doing good. Yeah, all good, Robert. How do you think jobless data will impact markets? I think it'll be an important thing people are watching, but I think the Jackson Hole Symposium is larger. Yeah, there we go. How do you think jobless claims? Yeah. Do you guys think we'll have bullish or bearish reactions? Looking at the poll numbers, 76% think higher claims, 24% think lower claims. And so again, we'll look at what happens. But Jurassic Park bike ride would be fun. Yeah. I mean, they got a lot of cool stuff. Like, Peloton's not bad. It's just, yeah. Say, hey guys, just to help me out here, is the stream running okay? Is the stream running okay? No lag or anything, right? Aside from me having to refresh it. Looks like kind of StreamYard, the streaming service I use, is kind of glitching out a little bit. You sound like Batman? Top 3 Batman-esque traders in the world. Good. Seems like nothing is stopping the market. Running good for me. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, just trying to gauge it. All fine over here. Appreciate it. What's up, Sam? Seems fine. All right, cool. Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Cool. All right. Yeah, we're good. I just wanted to check it. It seems like some type of weird thing with my streaming. So, yeah. All right, so looking at our votes here, and only in 10 minutes we got a couple hundred votes. Yeah, Jackson Hole Symposium tomorrow is massive. It's absolutely massive report. Nvidia had earnings revision, and then gold is still breaking down a little bit here. So gold is still falling. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, I might put in sub only mode pretty soon to kind of get around the spam. Will the market like higher unemployment? I don't think so. I think the market's going to want lower numbers. The market used to be inverse in terms of how it reacted to economic data. Like when it feared inflation a big amount, it almost wanted less people working because that meant less spending overall and ultimately better inflation problems. But we've kind of pivoted back to a good is good and bad is bad scenario in which now most of the market, it seems, wants economic strength, right? They want economic strength. They're worried less about inflation. And so in terms of this economic report, I think the market wants lower claims. And I think the lower claims numbers that come out relative to expectation, the more positive the market's going to react, and vice versa. The higher claims are, the worse the market's going to react, you know. Why don't you trade crypto? I mean, I trade it sometimes. We all have our favorites. My favorite is stocks and futures. exit out of some of these. We also have manufacturing and services PMI dropping later on this morning too. So we do have manufacturing and services PMI. All right, guys. SPY's trying to hold up there. Let me see if I can fix this, refresh it. Unemployment will be underestimated again, maybe. Yeah, SNOW's down a lot, stocks wise. Why you all believe it's higher? What's higher? You mean, I think more people are bearish in that regard right now. More people are pushing for like super weak economy, and so higher claim signals that. Yeah, I mean, I saw the earnings foo because it doesn't always have that type of easy to predict reaction foo. So like earnings, we could have great earnings, great EPS, great revenue, good guidance like Snow did and still drop. That's normal. Asking why is very difficult to figure out, you know. So like we don't know. Interested, they say, hey, we messed up, almost 1 million jobs less. Then gold goes lower. Yeah, well, gold was already up, breaking highs though, you know. So the biggest misconception I think about markets is that people think that there's such an easy correlation with a lot of stuff, and it's not. It's not easy to correlate any of this stuff. The market can and will do whatever it wants to do, even if it goes outside of expected correlations, even if it goes outside of reactions that people expect. The market is a different animal. It can do whatever it wants to do, especially in terms of economic reports, earnings. Like earnings are one of the bigger ones that you see people. All right, so it looks like it's back. Yeah, there we go. Hey, thank you, Mike Short. Trust me, bro. All right, we'll see, dude. I appreciate the donation. Thanks, brother. But yeah, so you don't ever really know how the market's going to respond to anything. A lot of the time, the move happens preceding the report or after the report, you know. So, just how it goes. What are your thoughts on Tesla on the way to the Robotaxi event? I mean, I think Tesla, I'm always skeptical of buying the rumor for these Tesla reports. The reason I'm skeptical is because, and I like Tesla as a stock. You know, I like Tesla as a company. I think Tesla cars are cool. You know, I really do genuinely like them. I follow the stock. I hold the stock a lot of the time. But Elon, one of Elon's flaws, in my opinion, is that he overpromises and underdelivers. Right, and so and he's the head of a publicly traded company, so it's understandable that he does this. But he'll say, "Hey, this is going to come out then," and then that date will come and go, and then he'll push it back and underdeliver, and that's okay. I'm not knocking him for it. I think, you know, your job is to build strength in a public company, and that's kind of what you got to do sometimes. But in that regard, I'm also kind of skeptical of these big events like the Robotaxi event. I think if Elon can stay on the front of it, Tesla's going to be great. If they can have FSD, full self-driving autonomous vehicles, Robotaxis, and they can be on the front of that movement, which I think is going to be one of the next big movements in tech, then Tesla is going to be a wildly successful company, in my opinion. If they don't stay on the front of it and they let competition get to them, they let legacy companies start like competing with them, like genuinely competing with them, then they're in trouble. I think they have to stay on the front of that. They have to evolve in that regard. And again, it looks like they are. We'll see what happens with the Cybertruck event. But I'm always kind of skeptical about these big events. Tesla doesn't always react the best. You know, you got some stocks that will really react positively to events, even if what happens at the events specifically are a little bit underwhelming. Tesla, I would say, is the other side, where generally speaking, you get all this hype, you get this big rumor movement upward ahead of the events, and then at the actual events, a lot of the time Tesla corrects back down. It's not always the same, but that's kind of what I've seen from Tesla over time. I have no idea what Nvidia is going to do. We're going to cover the whole thing, react to it, watch it live for sure. And yeah, we'll see. What's up, Lolo? What's up, Chef? What's up, B? Yeah, snow up big. Like Elon promoting Cybertruck, then he breaks the glass. Well, not just that. I mean, Elon promised the Cybertruck debut for like a year. Like, he promised the Cybertruck would debut about a year before it actually did. You know, and so that's what I mean. He usually eventually delivers. It's just late. You know, so I kind of expect the same thing with the Robotaxi event. I expect him to overpromise, under-deliver, but eventually he's gonna deliver it. You know, and it'll be fine. I'm sure. You know, it's work, right? He's trying to build up hype. He understands how it goes. I think I can't judge him too much for it. He's the head of a publicly traded company, but yeah. Do you think yesterday's correction of job report reflects more unemployment? Maybe. I've noticed Nvidia seems to do a nice pullback a few weeks before earnings. Yeah, they revised their earnings up 10%, though. That's what happened. So Nvidia's earnings were revised 10% up. And so that's essentially what happened. They revised their earnings, and now Nvidia's running up on it. Again, today we also have jobless claims. You can see jobless claims, unemployment numbers expected at 230K right here on 8:30. We're going to cover it all live like we always do. Sorry, let me pull up... Sorry, Pawn. I'm just now looking. Seeing all the posts from yesterday. Buffett sold Snow, CEO left. Company has brutal future EPS company. Yeah, I mean, I'm not in it anymore, so I wouldn't know. I haven't been in it in like a couple weeks. So it looks like that sell was a good move. Again, Nvidia at 130s, Tesla at 225s. Still got 40 plus minutes until jobless claims filings come out. Nvidia after earnings extremely euphoric. Yeah, we'll see. After the Blackwell chip release. Yeah, I mean, that's like the end-all be-all of Nvidia right now, and understandably so. It's just such a big aspect of it right now. Nvidia earnings are next Wednesday. Sometimes it's good to sell before news. Yeah, buy the rumor, sell the news is actually a real kind of movement pattern. You know, what it means is like essentially you buy the hype and sell before the actual execution of it. Because it's actually much better to ride the hype up a lot of the time than it is to wait for the actual execution of whatever the hyped up thing was. You know, so you buy it at the climax of hype instead of, you know, buying it up when they actually do whatever they're saying they're going to do, you know. Yeah, it's a genuinely useful thing to understand in stocks is buy the rumor, sell the news. It's kind of cliched. Everybody says it all the time, but it's an important thing to understand. Everybody expecting Nvidia to do good during their earnings. It would shock the world if it dropped. I don't know if it shocked the world. I think earnings always have a big chance of having volatility. And so people are going to be paying attention to this a lot. I think it's just going to be super heavily watched. You know, again, this was our largest stream of all time. We had almost 100,000 views, 14,000 simultaneous, like concurrent viewers. And so, you know, we're covering it for sure. Market all-time highs. Yeah, the SPY is close to it. SPY all-time highs are at 565s or so. You know, Nvidia earnings being revised 10% upward is what's dragging the market up today. Especially, like, we had a good day mostly yesterday, although it was choppy. I told you guys we get choppiness both today or yesterday and the day before. And I mean, if you look at the movement here, again, I'm not going to say I told you so, but like, again, Jackson Hole Symposium is going to make a lot of people apprehensive, nervous to take big size. And I think we kind of see that reflected in price action over the last couple days. Like very choppy, neutral activity a lot of the time. And so, yeah. Honestly, relatively easy to predict. Top 4 stream of all time, definitely top 5 in the world. So if they beat with a revision, it could be a crazy day. Yes, if they do better than expected, like better than the revision estimates, they could run. I'm not saying they will. Nobody really knows, but they could for sure. All right, I'm going to throw this in sub-only mode. I'm really trying to get close to breaking... Again, I really want to try to break 145K today. I think we only need like 200 subs or something. So listen, we got almost 600 people watching already, and we still got 40 minutes before jobless claims numbers. When jobless claims numbers come out, we'll have well over 1,000 people here. We just need like a third of that to hit the subscribe button. We've got 30,000 views in the last 2 days. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We appreciate it. The real question is the Peruvian necktie a hard sub to get done in no-gi jiu-jitsu. I've been drilling the Peruvian necktie, but when I tried to do it to somebody when we were actually sparring, it was much harder to get done. You know, I got one of those dummies, those training dummies, but is the Peruvian necktie too difficult of a sub to keep in my playbook, I guess, is the question, you know? Yeah, almost to 150K. We're almost there. Hit the subscribe button, guys. We need 270 subs left. 270 subscribers. That's it. That's all we need. Do it now. Yeah, the training dummy's a 3-stripe, you know. Yeah. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, guys, Tesla at 225s. Honestly, kind of crazy. Nvidia flat over the last couple minutes, but up big this morning after revising their earnings for next week, up 10% for most analysts. So a lot of bullish hype coming in. Nvidia today is dragging the market up, and this is ahead of Jackson Hole Symposium tomorrow. Don't get it twisted, guys. Tomorrow's Jackson Hole Symposium could knock everything right back down. If Powell comes in like more hawkish than expected, I think is what would do it. Or if he comes out acting like we're going to do much larger cuts than expected. Essentially, if Powell shocks the market tomorrow in any way, whether it's more hawkish than expected or more dovish than expected, it could knock the market right back down. It's really hard, yeah. Hey, thank you, Marie. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I know we get some haters, but I genuinely just give everything to everybody for free. I don't sell a course. I don't claim to be an expert. I try to be genuinely honest with people. You know, most of the haters are either people I know in real life that are just kind of struggling with what they got going on in their side, or people who... Like, a lot of the times, you'd be surprised. Like, a lot of the times, it's like somebody that wants to work with me. Maybe they have a YouTube channel. Maybe they've worked with me at one point in time. And, like, for whatever reason, they're not where they want to be. And they're acting like me. They're acting like it's my fault. You know, when really I have nothing to do with any of it. Like, you got to be in charge of your own destiny. And, yeah. But, regardless, back to that. Not to go on a rant about that. I appreciate the love. We got a bunch of good people here. And it really is, like, a solid community. Most people are genuinely supportive and knowledgeable here, and they tell people the right things. They give people the right advice. I don't give advice, especially financial advice, but yeah. Hey, thanks, Marie. I appreciate becoming a member. Thanks so much. Hey, thanks, Lolo. Appreciate it. Why would he be more hawkish and the Fed does not want to shock the market? The data supports cuts. Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to cut. YZ. I mean, but he could come out hawkish, right? Like, he could signal for rate cuts and then have a hawkish stance. You know, we do this all the time. Like, a lot of the time, Powell will do a pause, which is a more hawkish move. And then when he speaks, he comes out dovish in his tone. So it could be both, right? He could make a hawkish decision and then come out dovish, or he could make a dovish decision like a cut and then come out hawkish during the actual conference, right? So anything could really happen here. He could be both. Or he could be neither, and he could just be completely neutral and say data dependence and all the stuff that he does, and that's possible for sure. They will make the market drop before declaring cut. Well, the decision for that's going to be in September. So we still got some time before they cut. And again, we got a lot of economic reports coming out before they announce that decision. And so we got a lot of economic reports coming out before then. Specifically, next week, we have PCE data. So we have personal consumption expenditure inflation data, which is the Fed's preferred inflation metric. It's actually what the Fed wants to use to gauge inflation as PCE. It's called core PCE. It excludes food and energy prices because those are the most volatile. We also have GDP dropping next week. So in a period in which, like, the only way Powell will come out really hawkish, not tomorrow, because tomorrow we don't really have any big reports aside from unemployment today. But if the only way Powell will make a more hawkish decision than expected in September for their rate decision in the FOMC is if we see strength in the economy and massive weakness in terms of inflation, right? So if inflation spikes up a massive amount and the economy also looks strong, that's a situation in which Powell might pivot to another pause instead of cutting, right? And the percentages like right now would change once that economic data comes out. Because again, next week we have, remember guys, next week we have PCE and GDP data. So that's a big report too. Next week we got GDP on the 29th on August, Thursday, and then Friday we have PCE data. Wednesday we have Nvidia earnings. Monday we've got durable good orders. So that's a big gang of reports coming out. Also, ahead of the FOMC meeting, which I believe is mid next month, right? We also have, let me see what other reports we got. Yeah, we also have non-farm payroll data coming out September 5th. So payroll data, unemployment data coming out September 5th, JOLTS report coming out September 4th. So again, we got a gang of reports that coming out that might influence economic perceptions for the Fed. And but again, we're almost certainly going to cut rates. Powell will only pivot to a hawkish decision or stance if inflation spikes up a massive amount. Right? If inflation comes out way higher than expected and everybody starts to panic regarding inflation, again, then he might pivot to like another pause or whatever, but it's still pretty unlikely. Easy sub for me, and you say the data faster than I can see it. Yep. Appreciate it, Blaze. Fast news, chill atmosphere, no BS, easy sub. Hey, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. What's your prediction, John? I don't really try to predict jobless claims. All right, guys. Predictions for Nvidia earnings? No idea. No idea. All right, got almost 700 people already. We've still got 30 plus minutes, guys. Based on your experiences, the stocks sell off whenever it hits all-time highs. I mean, Fu, that question is not possible to answer, So, like, whenever a stock hits all-time highs, it can either continue running A lot of the time, it depends on how. It depends on what it's done over the last few weeks, months, so forth, right? It depends on how extended it is at all-time highs. So, like an example of this is if all-time highs have been like this before, and then we hit all-time highs, then sometimes it'll run, right? But if it went like this, it depends on the time frame you're looking at. So it really depends on the time frame you're looking at. If we're looking at long term, generally speaking, stocks run at all-time highs. If we put up a long-term chart on the SPY as an example, we broke all-time highs here, we ran up big. We broke all-time highs back here, we ran up big, right? So if we're looking at long-term, generally stocks run at all-time highs. Short-term, though, they can reject and they can tap big milestone levels and then immediately come back down. It's just not answerable. There's not really a consistent pattern, I would say. For highs like that, some of them break and run and some of them crash and fail, but long term they generally rise after all-time highs, depending on the stock, as long as we're talking about like blue chip healthy stocks, index funds, stuff like that have strength. Yes. All right, guys. Sorry, I'm logging into something here. Let me make sure. I'm going to mute the background music for just a second. I want to look something up. All right, guys. So, I think data dependent would be bearish for the market. All right, we're going to put this music back up. There you go. The market was at this exact all-time high level 1 month ago. It sold off because of false exaggerated catalyst. Good chance we blow above these levels. Now, yeah, I mean, I don't think highs of the day break are really a predictable. Like if we're talking intraday, sure, I think high of the day breaks reject a lot of the time, depending on the market, the stock, the sector. But yeah, it's super speculatable, I guess. Like anybody could speculate on what something does at highs, and I wouldn't really say there's any significant short-term edge out and playing high of the day breaks on the upside. But yeah, what are your thoughts on today? You always nail market sentiment. Today I really don't know. I think the correlation is going to be strong economy is good, weak economy is bad, and you might think that's obvious, but again, over the last few years it's been the opposite because of inflation fears. Higher economic strength has been negatively reacted to and vice versa. So yeah, either one's possible, Fu. Yeah, no, you're good, Fu. It's all good, dude. It's a good question. I don't think there's an even answer to it, Nvidia is another interesting one to go back and look at previous all-time highs and what happened when we approached it. Yeah, Nvidia just has that squeeze potential too, though. A little bit different than market, like a lot of like normal markets. Nvidia just has that squeeze potential. Nvidia breaks highs here, flies. Breaks highs here, flies. So it just has that crazy squeeze potential. But again, like if we're in a sideways range, we might chop down. Is what I was trying to say earlier. Like if we're in a sideways range, here, let me put this up so you guys can actually see it. So if we're in a sideways range like this, right? Here's Nvidia's long-term chart. It's very possible we continue in that sideways range. Like sideways, retest, back down, retest again, and then eventually it breaks. But we had to break highs. If you call this a high, we had to break highs or tap highs 1, 2, 3, 4 times before it broke, right? So you can look at it either way, I guess. What do you do to keep different sectors organized? I mean, everybody's different. For me, I just kind of look at it every day, watch it, maybe take notes. More jobless doesn't mean rate cut possibilities even higher. Yes. So higher jobless claims would signal more possibility of a rate cut. I don't think the stocks are going to go up, though. I might be wrong, and anything could happen here. Jobless claims are not the most predictable economic report. But yes, higher jobless claims signals more unemployment filings, a weaker economy, and more of a need for rate cuts, sure. But that doesn't necessarily mean the market goes up. I think in terms of reactions to economic data, we've seen the opposite recently, but that's always subject to change, and so it could certainly change. Yeah, I don't know if Euro US dollar goes up or down in today. Anime guy, no idea, man. It could go up, down, sideways. We really don't know. I don't really watch that pair like that. All right, guys, we got about 25 minutes left. Got about 700 live viewers right now. We appreciate the love again. I put it in sub only mode. Yep. All right, good. All right, guys, we're sitting tight at Nvidia at 130s. It's so hard to focus on many stocks. Well, I mean, it's all diversification, right? Like for me, blue chips are going to be the best. Index funds are going to be the best. But I'm also going to try to diversify in a little bit of everything. Real estate, gold, mid caps that I think have potential, although much smaller size if I'm taking those type of trades, right? I think you got to scale down if you're taking those big positions there. But yeah, diversification is powerful. But you could also go really big. There's a lot of different mentalities. There's a very famous quote, and the quote states that most billionaires are made through going really, really big in one specific thing they believed in. And I could understand that to be true. I could see how that might be true, right? Example is Elon went really big into EV. Microsoft went really big into software. Apple went really big into desktops and personal computers. And then the other one was the iPhone and smartphones. BlackBerry went really big into like super smartphones. Like there's a lot of people that got really wealthy from going really big into one specific idea, and even in terms of just general investing, right? Like you can use the same thought process there. The only problem with that mentality is that if you're wrong, you lose everything, or you lose everything you put into it. And so, we could always argue which one's right or wrong, diversification or going big into one thing, but yeah, steel, 100%, yeah. Ford was the automobile, right? There's a lot of examples of this throughout history. All right, we got over 700 people here live watching. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. All right, guys. When you buy blue chips, you don't have to watch them like you do penny stocks. Yeah, I mean, you should always take an appropriate share size, right, is the key. So you want to take a share size in which you're not emotional about it. You know, you want to make money, but you don't want to let that greed overpower logic. And so you got to take an appropriate enough share size to where, to where no matter what, like, you're going to be okay. And you have to trade with that mindset. And for that, and in that regard, everybody's different. Everybody's different. Like, an example of this is, I see some people online, right? Like, I see these guys online, and some of them I used to know, like, in Baton Rouge. And, like, these guys are going around being like, yeah, like, I'm going to give $1,000 to 2 or to 3 people and, really give back this holiday season. And I'm not judging them giving back, right? But splitting $1,000 up for 3 people, what are you going to give them, $300? Like, and you're trying to act like a saint online about it? Like, get out of here, bro. But you understand there's levels. There's levels. To some people, that's a lot of money, right? And to others, it's nothing. And so there's levels to it. And what your appropriate share size is for your own trades is going to depend on you. It depends on how big your bankroll is. It depends on how big your account is. If you got a very large account, you might be okay with losing, $1,000 a day. More than that, $1 million a day for some people. And if you don't have a large account, you lose a couple hundred, that's a lot. You're going to be pretty upset about it. So there's levels to it. And that's true with income. And I think a lot of people don't understand that as well. I think, I've said this before, and really, to be fair, I kind of saw it online, but it's absolutely true. Is that, you think $1,000 a month is a lot until you meet somebody making 10. You think $10,000 a month is a lot until you meet somebody making 30. You think $30,000 is a lot until you meet somebody making 70. You think that's a lot until you meet somebody making 100. You think $100K a month is a lot until you meet somebody making $1 million. And you can extrapolate that as long or big as possible. But yeah. Point is, there's levels to everything. With that said, I'm on the lowest level of all time ever in the world right now. Top 3. Smallest level also. Again, jobless claims numbers expected at 230,000. Guys, 230K. We'll see if they hit. We got 20 minutes, about a little bit less than 20 minutes. Nvidia coming all the way back down. Again, they revised earnings 10% up. Can you explain this, John? 25 basis point Fed cut will pump the market, but 50 basis point will dump the market, and no cut will dump the market. What do you think? I think that's wrong. I think 25 basis points is a neutral outcome. It's what's wildly expected already, right? So everybody's already expecting 25 BP cut. So everybody's already expecting that. I would look at that as like a neutral outcome, I think a 50 basis point cut probably will dump the market, or higher than 50 might dump the market. You got to ask why. It's because that's a shock, right? So if the Fed is that desperate to where they're willing to really quickly cut 50 basis points, that makes it look like something's breaking, that they're more desperate to bring rates down like higher, much faster than they should be. And if we don't cut at all, I think you could speculate on either way. I think there's an argument. And if we don't cut it all, that makes the economy look even more sound. And we might have positive reactions, or people could interpret no cut at all as, hey, we're not doing enough to stimulate the economy. The economy is going to go to the trenches. And that might cause negative reactions too. But I think a 25 basis point cut's neutral. I think anything over 25 is an overreaction. I think if we do like a 75 basis point cut, the market's almost certainly going to dump because people are going to panic. They're going to think something's breaking. Ironically, though, it depends on what they want, whether they fear inflation or recessions or depressions or economic strength or weakness. You got to take everything with the context of what people fear. So they're going to cut. Yowzer. The only way they were not going to cut is if, again, if inflation spikes up like a ridiculous amount from now to then they might not cut. But I would give it a 95% chance they cut next month. You know, maybe higher. And if you look at the CME watch tool right now, it doesn't even have an option for no cut. So in terms of like big analysts and big money, you know, what I want you guys to understand about markets, guys, is that you follow big money. And you follow, like, the easiest way to understand is you follow big money. Right? What do I mean by that? What I mean is, like, if you want to be able to predict the market, follow big money. You know, if you, like, for whatever reason, for these rate decisions, you got people that predict something that's wildly outside of expectations. Like, the big banks know what they're talking about. Like, big money knows what they're talking about. Analysts know what they're talking about. The CME watch tool has not been wrong in a long time, like years. And so you gotta, like, what I mean by that is, like, if you read the CME watch tool a minute before the Fed rate decision, it is almost 100% accurate. You got to follow big money. You got to respect what their perception of everything is. And again, people for whatever reason think we're going to go way outside of these expectations, and it's a very, very low probability guess. You know, in the end, these are very predictable. What's less predictable is the tone that the Federal Reserve members take, but their actual decision is very predictable. Very predictable. And again, like I said, I would give it 95% chance plus that they cut next month, with the exception of if inflation spikes up. If inflation spikes up a lot, and it would have to be a lot, then they might change their tune. But I don't think they will. I'm not big money. I wouldn't call myself big money. You know, big money's like tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm certainly not that. I wish I was, you know, but again, I'm not. I think I'm pretty accurate in terms of this stuff, but, you know, I could always be wrong, and I certainly am. Top 3, sometimes wrong trader in the world right now. Anyways. Go all in on Siri. I don't like Siri at all. And I don't think Buffett went on. It depends on when Buffett went in on Siri. Is that a trade he recently got in? I haven't been watching Buffett a lot. Let me see. This is why AI is great. I can say, hey, when did Buffett buy Siri? First disclosed he purchased a stake in Siri in 2016. Specifically, it was revealed he owned 9.8 million shares at the end of the quarter. Let's see how much he made. It's been profitable over the years. We don't know how much he made, but it reached a peak of $7.60 per share in 2019. Since then, it's gone down. But I'll tell you this. I'll put it this way. Buffett didn't go all in on Siri, right? Like, whatever he invested into it is very small money for him. It's nothing, essentially, for him. Like, he doesn't care about whatever he invested into it. Kramer. Yeah, I'm a little minnow too. No cut at all shows they're still fearing inflation, sure. Right? I think it's necessary, though. I'd rather not cut. If 50 BP, would that spike gold? Probably. Gold tends to go up with rate cuts. Well, Buffett's old, so he's going to hold cash. Unemployment forecast is higher. What does that mean? I don't know. John, it could go either way for the market with cuts. It depends on how big of a cut. I think if it's 25 basis point cut, the market will probably be fine. I think that's kind of a neutral outcome. It's what's expected, and so I think that will be the easiest way to, pun intended, ease into cuts without the big brash reaction from shocking the market. I think if we do 50, it's much. I think it's a lot greater chance the market panics. If we do 50 or 75 or something like that, I think it's a larger chance the market panics. All right, guys. Here, we got to be quick. We got economic data dropping in like 10 minutes. All right, I love you. All right, love you. All right. All right, guys, I'll be right back. Sorry, I'm here talking about stuff. I think 50 basis point spikes gold. Cuts generally do, but gold is also up a lot, and so I think you also have to take it in that context with extension being really high. Also, can you please explain how rate cut move hold up? Thanks. So rate cuts are reducing short-term interest rates, the amount that banks charge each other to hold overnight. Eventually, it trickles into long-term rates like mortgages, auto loans, stuff like that. And this is something that the Federal Reserve directly influences and controls. They control short-term interest rates, which will control like all interest rates throughout the country for the most part. And so if economic weakness is there, the Fed will bring interest rates down to stimulate the economy because it gives everybody cheaper access to money, lower interest and cheaper access to money, and then they spend that money on other stuff, and thus it stimulates the economy. If they're fearing inflation, if prices have gone up too much and people are spending too much, they'll raise interest rates higher, thus pushing spending down, restricting access to money in a more heavy way. It's called a restrictive monetary policy. They could also do things like QE and QT, but yeah, so with that in mind, the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates in order to protect the economy from economic weakness like recessions, depressions, high unemployment, too little jobs, so forth and so on, right? But the Fed has been really what's called hawkish. They've maintained a restrictive monetary policy stance for years now, post-pandemic, because the pandemic, they did a lot of the opposite. They did a lot of stimulating the economy to save it from the pandemic, save it from high unemployment, and so they stimulated the economy. They also printed money through quantitative easing, which is money printing to create bank reserves and then using those to buy financial assets like bonds, injecting liquidity and keeping banks' interest rates high, keeping interest rates low, I mean. But again, the consequence is inflation, right? So now we've been doing that for years, restricting monetary policy for years now with QT and high interest rate environment. And now the Fed's probably going to pivot towards bringing interest rates back down a little bit. The best move here is to kind of slowly ease into it as opposed to like radically cutting rates and freaking people out, right? Like balance is generally good. And Jerome Powell generally tries to be balanced in everything he does. He doesn't really want to scare people and freak people out. He generally wants to balance things out a little bit. And so, you know, that's something that we should see today in terms of, or that's something we should hear from him tomorrow is balanced tone. He wants to be balanced. He doesn't want to freak people out and scare people. So we got 5 minutes left. We'll see what happens, guys. Yeah, hit the sub button, hit the notification bell. Help me hit... Yeah, hit the subscribe button, guys. Help me hit 145,000 subscribers. We really only need a couple hundred subs to hit that. We'll definitely hit it tomorrow, but I'd love to hit it today. So subscribe if you haven't yet. Everything we put out there is free. We don't charge anything for anything. Also, guys, check out TopStep. TopStep is a funded account program in futures. If you want to learn to day trade, again, I'm here to tell you, number one, they sponsor, they pay me money. I'm an affiliate of them, so I'm definitely biased, right? But this is genuinely useful because most day traders lose. If you put up $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 funding your own account, I hate to break it to you, but you're probably going to lose that. I lost it when I started. Almost all traders do. Limit your risk through a funded account program. Though it's a monthly subscription. So the base one on Top Step's only $49 a month. They give you a 50K demo. If you can make 3K without losing 2K and following their rules, they fund you 50K, 90% split. They pay out tens of millions. They're one of the most legit in the world, and they have some of the best rules once you're funded in the game, right? So you can keep your funded account easier. Great way to learn how to day trade. And again, the best part is if you lose, you only lose the monthly subscription. And in the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, currencies in some aspects, gold. Patterns are very similar to blue chip stocks, and there's no PDT rule. So it's where you should be learning how to day trade, in my opinion. But again, I'm biased because they pay me money. So check out the link right there. I appreciate it. And understand CFTC 4.41, hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations, guys. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional. I do trade off stream. You're not going to see all my trades. Essentially, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyways, guys, we got 3.5 minutes left. Jobless claims unemployment filings are dropping soon. They're expected at 230,000 today, guys. 230K is what they're expected at. It's a big report on the heels of, the revision data yesterday. This is a big report in that regard. Very relevant report. So, yeah, we also have Jackson Hole tomorrow. So this is preceding Jackson Hole, the biggest economic conference of the year. As well as we got PMI data later on this morning. So again, expected at 230, 232. Some people have it at. Yeah, lower is better, higher is worse here in terms of economic strength or weakness. Lower signals economic strength, less people filing for unemployment. Higher signals more people filing for unemployment, more potential panic and stuff like that, right? So that's the way you got to look at this. Wholesome chat, my favorite top 3 wholesome chats in the world right now. I think you could trade like the Bitcoin micros futures contracts, Chris, the Big Short, but I'm not 100%, bro. All right, guys, 2 minutes left. We got about 1,400 live viewers here. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Do it now. Subscribe now, guys. We appreciate it. All higher or lower is better? I really don't know. Vote on the poll. Let me know how you feel. We got 2 minutes left. Looking at our poll, 68% think they're going to come in higher. Get your last minute predictions. Higher or lower, guys? Let me know. 230 is kind of the neutral one. Yeah, I mean, futures is Top Step. Yeah, subscribe now. Do it now. Everybody's doing it. Try it one time. It might feel good. Subscribe, guys. Do it now. All right, anyways, I'm going to stop spamming that. All right, guys. Jobless claims numbers dropping in 1 minute. 1 minute. People are saying probably lower than expected. Top 3 financial reporting YouTube channel in the world right now. Definitely top 3. All right, 40 seconds, guys. 40 seconds. All right, guys, we got 1,700 people here. We got 20 seconds left. 20 seconds. Be ready. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. Here we go. All right, guys, ready? 5 seconds. 2:30, and there's the report. Jobless claims showed up at 232 as expected, completely neutral. 232 as expected. Continuing claims were actually slightly lower than expected, but a completely flat report this morning. Again, continuing claims were a little bit lower, but initial claims, which is the more relevant one, showed up exactly at 232. So exactly at 232 as expected, flat. So It depends on which one you look at it. Some people had it at 230, and so in that regard, it might be a little bit higher. But again, this is mostly flat, mostly normal, as expected for the most part. Again, we're at 560s, but 232 is what we showed up as for jobless claims, 232K. Yeah, so essentially flat today, guys. Now, we do have manufacturing PMI later. So here's the numbers right here. Most markets are mostly reacting positively to this. Again, initial claims came in flat. Continuing claims were a little bit better than expected. So continuing claims showed up at 1.863 versus 1.867 expected. So a little bit better than expected in that regard as well. I'll put the numbers up on screen here. Yeah. So again, pretty flat economic report here. Market is slightly reacted positively today, down to 562s now. So a little bit better reaction to markets, but this is on the heels of Jackson Hole tomorrow. So we'll see. Does manufacturing PMI affect tech? Maybe some. Nvidia has gone up a little bit on this report, bounced at 130, over 130 now. Let's see if it actually holds this spot. Yeah, tomorrow's a huge day. It's the larger day, you know. Yeah, so again, these numbers were a little bit up relative to the previous one. Previous one was 227. But again, we're looking at expected numbers in that outcome and reaction here. S&P PMI data. Thanks, bro. Hey, thank you, AZ. I don't know. We'll cover that live, too, at 9:45. Again, guys, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We need less than 250 subs to hit 145,000 subscribers. We're going by thousands of subs every month. We're getting hundreds of thousands of views every month. I appreciate the love and the growth. Remember, tomorrow is the big one, though. Tomorrow is the biggest economic conference from Powell outside of FOMC meetings for the year. You know, so tomorrow is the biggest economic conference. So now we're pulling back a little bit. Now we're down some slightly. So look at this pullback here. We can watch gold. Let me see how gold reacted to all this stuff too. So here's gold. Gold's coming down. All right, chat. Whew. All right, guys. Whew. We'll see if we get anything good. Hope you guys are doing good today. Jobless claims numbers basically flat. I'm going to get ready to start the day trade. We still got less than an hour before the open. And then PMI data drops in about an hour and 15 minutes. 1 hour and 15 minutes. So... What's tomorrow? Tomorrow is the Jackson Hole Symposium. Hold on, I gotta mute this for a second. Tomorrow is the Jackson Hole Symposium Economic Conference. Again, a massive conference. Yeah, so a massive report, massive conference. All right, guys. All right. Now we're back up. Gold seems really flat, though. So, like, if we're going to target a trend, again, Nvidia's earnings were the biggest. So, here's a good question here. I'm going to end this poll, and I'm going to do a question here. And the question is going to be, what do you think is more important, right? Jackson Hole Symposium or Nvidia earnings? I would dare to say Nvidia earnings. So, we're going to end this poll. Most people thought they would come in higher than expected. Yeah, so most people think they're going to come in higher than expected. And they ended up showing basically flat. Continuing claims showed up lower than expected as well, so that's good. Again, I would probably say Nvidia earnings are going to be more important, but Jackson Hole gets a lot of hype for sure. It's definitely important. So let's do another poll. I think Nvidia is going to obviously be a larger report. Oh yeah, my bad, guys. Here, let me fix this. How about, does the market react positively or negatively? And does the market react in a bullish or bearish way to tomorrow's Jackson Hole Economic Conference? Bull, bear. So yeah, do we get bull or bearish action tomorrow from Jerome Powell? There we go. That's a good poll question. All right, so market's starting to flush down. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to attack choppiness today or what. Nvidia, unless Powell's really hawkish. Nobody cared about Jackson Hole until 2022. Yeah, but everybody watches it now. Nobody cared about Nvidia earnings until then too. So it's, you know, things change over time with markets and the economy. People care about high unemployment now. I think people care about Nvidia earnings in the stock market more. Like, they might care about high unemployment in the economy more than Nvidia earnings. But I guess it depends on what context. If we're talking about the economy, sure, they're going to complain about, or they're going to be more worried about unemployment numbers and stuff like that. I'm talking about in general interest, right? Nvidia earnings, again, this channel, we get tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of views for Nvidia earnings. Unemployment filings, like, again, we got 1,300 people here. I'm not saying it's not a big report, especially jobless claims. Again, the unemployment percentage in a couple weeks is going to be bigger than this. So I think it's September 3rd or 4th. Those unemployment filings reports going to be larger than this, but it'll still be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, chill, baby. Is unemployment more dangerous than inflation? I think it's arguable. I think they're both comparable. Get to the chopper now. Yeah. I used that yesterday because, again, like, there was this old person, I'm not going to say who, but they would make a video, and their video would be like, how it is in day trading, the real life of a day trader, you know? And, like, they would be, like, jumping out of bed, being like, the move is happening now. The move is happening now. Get to the chopper. You know? Like, jumping on their computer, like, you know? And it's just kind of like, that's not real. Like, that's just trying to make it look cool. You know, it's just not real. That's not how it goes. Like, real trading is boring. Like, nobody's ever jumping out of bed being like, it's time. Do it now. Like, that's just not how it goes. Like, that's sensationalizing everything. So. It's better than losing. Bill says my Apex account is 3 weeks old and my balance is the same after lots of losing trades. Honestly, that's good. Nvidia earnings are next Wednesday. You like Palantir? I kind of like it. There's always risk with a company like this in terms of big swings up or down. It's the reality of it. But I don't mind diversifying into stocks like this sometimes with small size, relatively small size. You know. Hey, what's up, Tiny? I mean, if you're on the West Coast, you have to get up pretty early. Right, but that's not the context that they were using it in. They were using it more of like day trading so exciting that daily you just gotta jump out of bed and be like, the move is happening now. Sound the alarm. Like it's just not real. Anybody that actually day trades understands it's not real. I mean, that's how people might want to look at it. Like, oh, it's so exciting. And I think that's honestly what attacks gamblers. Like gamblers who like to feel butterflies and risk tons of money unnecessarily. They might love that part of it and wish it was like that, you know, but it's just not. That's why people ask me what kind of business I run. I always tell them the same thing. I tell them it's a marketing business because that's what it is. You know, I'm very hesitant to say YouTube business because they'll either look at me in two ways. They'll either be like, this dude's unemployed, or they'll look at me like I'm freaking Logan Paul. You know, maybe not Logan Paul. They'll look at me like I'm interviewing people on the street, being cringy. And so, you know, the reality is we're kind of just an educational resource, an economic resource. You know. Yeah, definitely top 3-ish, 3.25 in the world. It's a job. Yeah, you know. I'm not good at trading, but you're good at basketball, Michael Jordan. So, I mean, listen, you always got that to, you know, as a backup. People pay margin are gambling. I'd rather be seen as unemployed at the Logan Paul. I usually would rather not be seen as either one of them. Like I said, I don't really post about my YouTube channel on Facebook or anything like that. I just don't feel the need to, you know. Like I said, man, your perception changes and things. Like you see people online talking about how successful they are, and that's great. You know, that's great. Top 3 least successful person ever in the world. Top 3 most successful person also. But back to the point. I see people posting on social media like about how successful they are, and that's great. I think you got to celebrate your wins when you get them, and that's okay. You know, that's okay. But I think the really successful people, like I said, are usually very quiet about it. They don't want a lot of people knowing. They don't need a lot of people to know. And you know, again, the saying "riches yell, wealth whispers" is very true. Very true. You know. Most really, and I'm not even claiming to be wealthy, but most wealthy people I know wear flip-flops, t-shirts. They don't wear diamonds. They don't wear a lot of gold. They don't wear super luxurious clothing. It depends on the scale though. Like I think if you get to where you've got hundreds of millions of dollars, that's a different thing, a different level. But yeah. You got a lot of people here, no need to share on Facebook. Yeah, I just don't need to, you know. But again, you also see the people on Facebook that are like, hey, you know. Like, you see them just kind of list all these nonsense businesses that are almost certainly not real. But what I'll tell you is that, like, a lot of it is very, very obvious. I see you in a couple years making political stuff. Nah, bro. The only way I'd ever do politics is it would be the same theme of this channel, which is completely neutral. Not picking sides at all, being completely neutral. Known wealth also attracts fake friends, 100%. 100%. This wick right here is just a random order getting filled and then back down. It's not actual price. It's probably like a small position getting randomly filled from overnight at 131 and then coming right back down. That's most likely what it is. Dressed like Adam Sandler. Right, exactly. Exactly. SoFi. Yeah, SoFi is one of those. Yeah, I'm a watch guy too, Sean. So like I like watches too. And so they will wear watches. But yeah. Outside of that though, they're not wearing like super flashy is the easier way. Yeah, I just don't like politics at all, right? Like I'm not a big politics guy. The whole thing just stresses me out watching it on both sides. I don't like to be manipulated in that way, and I think both sides are trying to manipulate me. And so I just kind of, you know, avoid it if I can. It's just not worth getting stressed out or wrapped up in it. You know what I mean? Seems like entertainment to me, to be honest. Like, right? Like, seems like something that people are just trying to get people wrapped up in it, and like, I don't trust any of them personally. Yeah, I never knew how to pronounce them, but I've seen those watches. I would personally not buy one, Michael. But you know, my next watch is probably gonna be like an Omega. I think I'm gonna get a Seamaster, maybe a Speedy. I might get a Speedmaster. I don't know. I don't have an Omega yet, and so yeah, I was thinking of that. Maybe a Tudor, but Tudor I still am kind of torn on. I might get like a Breitling, but still, Breitlings are kind of expensive, and like, I don't know, man. I just don't know if I could justify that. Get a bust down Patek? Nah. If I got a Patek, it definitely wouldn't be ruined by throwing a bunch of diamonds on it. Again, Nvidia consolidating completely sideways here. Again, they got their earnings were upgraded 10%. And so they've been basically sideways since then. Market might be waiting for PMI data to come out too. Right. Is there a way to anticipate or see when big fund managers manipulate the market? I mean, there's signs, Dean, but you can never tell 100%, right? Like, there's definitely signs. Like, usually the signs are more so like big banks telling everybody the market's going to crash, scaring retail to sell, and then the market pumps up big and they profit on the upside, getting cheap entries and everything like that, right? Like, that's the most common way. You'll see CEOs do a very similar thing. They'll kind of like subtly dump their stock, like tank their stock, and then they'll do a buyback or whatever. Like they'll start buying up shares themselves and getting cheap entries for it. And you know, and again, that's why like you'll see a lot of people parrot, "We're gonna crash," or "The economy's in a recession," or like all this negative stuff. A lot of times they're just parroting what the big banks say, and the big banks are getting cheap entries and like riding it up big. You know, you see that a lot. If you're talking about short-term trading, it happens in a lot more ways. But like even here, right? Like everybody was telling me the market was going to crash right here. And, you know, big banks, everybody was saying, oh, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. And then S&P did 24% the next year. And then even more gains this year, right? And they left retail sitting here saying, oh, no, it's the end of the world, and kind of holding the bag of losses. And, you know, they profited on the upside. So there's a lot of misleading in markets, I think, from big money. Big money controls things, right? One of the benefits of big money is that you can capitalize on stuff like that easier. What do you think of algorithmic trading or AI trading? I think it's powerful, useful. It's only going to get better, and it might completely retrace manual trading within the next 20 years. Most likely. 25% tax on unrealized capital gains. I think it's crazy and unrealistic. Yeah, I've got some citizens. I don't have any of the other one, whatever that is. I've heard of them. I just don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to avoid it. PMI data is at 9:45 today. IWCs are cool, yeah. What's your opinion on the SPY? Thinking the market will push past its all-time high. I think the SPY is just the S&P 500 leveraged ETF. But so it's basically doing like, here's the S&P over the same time frame. You know, if we zoom in here, I think that we got it zoomed in here. Right, like this is the same thing. So the SPY and the S&P are the same thing, right? So you're basically asking me, does the S&P 500 break highs today? And it could. Nobody knows. I think the end-all be-all is going to be tomorrow during the economic conference, as well as Nvidia earnings next week. Is going to be more influential than today. Although PMI may, like, you don't ever know. The market could just rip up and break highs. How's that different from property tax? Well, property tax is 1% to 2%, and sometimes higher than that, depending on where you live. Like in Texas, property tax is high. 25% unrealized tax on capital gains is a crazy thing, right? It just doesn't make any sense. Why? Is because it's going to open Pandora's box of manipulation. Like it's going to cause, again, big money can manipulate things, right? And so if they don't feel like paying taxes, they could absolutely find ways to make their balance sheet unrealized negative, you know, and then say, oh, look, let me write off these taxes. I don't, you know, in the same way that, you know, like there's a lot of ways they could maneuver it. And get around it, and it would just spark much more manipulation than we currently have trying to tax unrealized gains. Again, anybody that understands markets should be against 25% unrealized gains tax. It just doesn't make any sense at all. The big CEOs are going to be the ones that are going to be the easiest to do it too, and like it's just a bad idea. Because if you tax unrealized gains, you have to write off unrealized losses, and again, that opens the door. That opens a can of worms, you know. Right, so Texas is kind of break even. Like, there's no state income tax here, but property tax can get as high as like 2.5% to 3% in some places, and it's not fun. Again, I live in Texas. I have to pay property tax, and it is not fun. If you've got, let's say you got a $500,000 house, right? You're gonna have to pay, like, let's call it 2.5%. You're gonna have to pay $12,500 a year for that $500,000 house. Say you've got a $1.5 million house, right? Just in taxes on that $1.5 million house. In some places, you're gonna have to pay $40,000 a year. It's crazy. It's completely unrealistic, and it's just not sustainable. Better move is to get somewhere with much less tax, right? There's places that are like 1.5, 1.6. That's a lot more feasible. So like for every 100K your house is worth, you're going to pay like 1.5K, right? Like, so if you got a $300,000 house, your property tax bill is going to be like $3,500. A much more reasonable amount. Still a lot, but a lot better than paying freaking, 2.5%, 3%. It's just not. It's just. But again, there's no state income tax. So, when you're young, you don't understand why people hate taxes so much. When you start to make good money, you realize why. I freaking hate taxes. And I pay tens and tens of thousands of dollars in taxes a year. I freaking hate it, But I generally overpay taxes because I'm very blessed and I don't feel like pushing it, What's the best way for the housing market to come down? Keep interest rates high. Like maintain high interest rate environments, Well, I could hire family members that aren't my spouse and pay them money and save money in taxes in that way, but my kids don't want to work for me, Like my daughter's really anxious and like doesn't want to be on the internet, which I respect, and I'm never gonna pressure her to do it. My son is more interested in it, but I don't know if I want my kids on the internet anyway, Yeah, 3% property tax, but there's no state income tax, so it cancels each other out, I guess. How much do you think you need to have in your bank to wear a Rolex on a regular basis? I don't think you have to have much at all. Like I would say maybe like a minimum of 10K, but I think that people misunderstand Rolexes, right? Like a lot of people look at Rolexes like they're just flaunting luxury and they're wasting money, like you're flushing money down the drain wearing them, right? But again, those come from people that don't understand how big money does it. Right, like Rolexes keep up with inflation. Rolexes appreciate like the S&P 500 in some ways. If you look at Rolex prices, right, like if you look at Rolex prices over long periods of time, like they keep up with inflation. Like this is the Rolex price graph since 2017. So Rolexes, you can see, have almost 3x'd since 2017. Now they're pulling back heavy, so for me, it looks like a buy opportunity for watches. And so I guess the point is that if you buy a Rolex at the right time, you can buy it, wear it for a few years, and then sell it for more than you bought it for, right? And it's an investment, as long as you take care of it. And so a lot of people look at Rolexes like they're just flushing money down the drain, but they don't understand the benefits of them, which they're a store of value, so most likely you're not going to lose a lot of money. You can buy it, wear it, and it'll hold its value, generally speaking, like over a longer period of time. A couple years, there's always swings, just like short term is unpredictable in any markets, but long term, there's an edge. But again, a lot of people buy them, hold them for a few years, wear it for a few years, and then sell it for much more than they bought it for. So it's not just flushing money down the drain. A lot of people look at them, they're not really investments, but they're stores of value in that way, You just gotta, be smart with it. Now, fake Rolexes, nah, they're not gonna hold much value. People are getting smarter with both the fakes and identifying the fakes, right? So the only real way to tell is to pop open the back, and for now at least, there's one glaringly obvious way to tell, which is you look at the balance wheel, the balance arm, right? Real Rolexes only have one balance arm because it's too expensive to replicate that. So what I mean is, like, you can pop open a Rolex and look at how many balance arms it has, and a real Rolex will only have one, and it'll be freestanding balance. Fake Rolexes, which are called super clones, like the really good ones that cost like $1,000 for the fake one, are called super clones. They are virtually indistinguishable from a real Rolex, except for that one specific aspect of it, the balance arm. The balance arm is way too expensive to fake, so like it's a very easy way to tell. And if you try to sell a Rolex to anybody that knows what they're talking about, they're going to immediately say, hey, pop open the back, let me look at it. And that's one of the glaringly obvious ways to tell. But yeah, with that said, they're not going to keep up. The fake ones don't matter, Yeah, in Texas it's the same, Daphne. It depends on where you live. Like different cities have higher taxes and different cities have lower taxes, and that's how it goes. Were you always financially savvy? No. I don't know. I think people become financially savvy for a lot of reasons, right? Like one of them, my dad was very financially savvy, right? Very smart financially. My mom, and you kind of see your parents get older. I love my mom, but you kind of see your parents get older, and the good thing about parents is that like you learn how to be and how not to be from your parents, right? And I love both my parents. They're great people, Dad was always funny. My dad was always financially smart. Again, I told the story. The house I grew up in was like a really, like, for lack of a better word, crappy, like cheap, old house that had a little bit of land on it, right? It had a couple acres, and he bought the house, and it was very cheap, kind of run down, better word for it, but it had land attached to it. It had a couple acres, and my dad's a falconer, so he would, look at the spy about to break highs. So we would go hunting with falcons, with hawks, right? Red tail and Harris hawks, sometimes kestrels. But we'd go hunting in those acreage woods that we had. But again, my point is my dad got in for very cheap. Over time, they started to develop my neighborhood, right? It was really cheap when we got in. Over time, they started to develop it. And by the time I grew up and I was adult and I moved out, they had developed the area so much around it, and my dad refused to sell for a long time. Like, he refused to sell. They kept coming to him being like, hey, we'll pay you, I think they offered him a couple $100,000 for it, and he would say, no, I'm staying, I'm keeping it. And so he had 4 acres of land in this neighborhood that everywhere around it was developed, and there was just woods. Like, so they really wanted that land. He was worried they might try to take it through eminent domain and stuff like that, but they weren't able to. Eventually, after I had grown and moved out and was like my own man when I was in my 20s, eventually he finally sold it for much, much more than he bought it for like a lot, and so smart move. I can't say I wouldn't have sold it, but yeah, smart move. He took that money and bought a house, completely paid off house now, in like a nice part of Louisiana, so good for him, man. I'm happy for him. Hey, what's up, Casey? I don't know about that industry too much, Jose. I don't think DocuSign will go back up to 200 a share in the future. The reason for it is because I think there's too much competition for DocuSign as a company. Look at the SPY, broke lifetime highs. Nvidia is still pretty flat. DOCU, though, there's a lot of competition that's sprouted up around it. You see a very similar thing with like Zoom. Zoom conferencing software was really good, really powerful, really useful for a very small period of time. Then competition sprouted up, and now there's a bunch of clones of Zoom. And a lot of people offer conferencing for free now, completely hurting Zoom's business model, because one of the things through capitalism is like competitors will sprout up. And so that affected Zoom. They probably overvalued to begin with. Same thing with DocuSign. Like, it probably never should have been this high. DocuSign probably never should have been, $300 a share as a company, as a website software company. It just probably should have never been that high. Yeah, I don't know anything about them, Nick. Sorry, brother. Snow had earnings yesterday. I mean, owning a falcon is, we would catch falcons is what we would do. Again, I've said this many times. It's kind of a cool thing. A lot of people ask me questions about it, so I'll show the picture again. But yeah, my dad was a falconer. He would hunt with falcons. Train them, condition them. You condition an animal same way you train a dog, right? Positive reinforcement and conditioning. So you train a hawk through mostly just, you put it on a perch in front of you, and you have like a leather glove to protect your hand because it has like talons. It's like an eagle, basically. And you whistle. You go. and like you put a piece of raw chicken on the glove, and eventually the hawk will see the piece of raw chicken and fly to your glove. And if you do it enough, it'll correlate whistling with food. And so every time you whistle, it'll fly to your glove, right? And so you go hunting in that same way. Once it's really, really trained, and you got to do this tons and tons of times, right? Once it's really, really trained, you're able to like go out in the woods, and you know the hawk will fly up into trees and spot rabbits and squirrels and snakes and rodents and stuff like that, and fly down and grab it and then bring it to you and eat it, you know. And you do that, you kind of form a relationship with the bird, you know, mostly again positive reinforcement conditioning, but yeah, it's like an apprenticeship system though. You have to like be an apprentice first, like under a master falconer, and then eventually you'll, you know, graduate to be your own, you know, thing. So yeah, so you can kind of see it there. Crawfish, catch them in, yeah, peregrine falcons are cool. Yeah, they're certainly protected. You can't mess with them. You also are not allowed to catch adult falcons, so I think you have to catch them when they're juveniles. But again, I'm not a falconer myself. No, we're not talking about eating falcons. We're talking about hunting with them, you know, training them and hunting with them. Hey, nice DJ. That's great, man. Nice story. Your dad, second time to hear. Yeah, I said it a couple days ago too. Yeah, 100% it is roaring for sure. Anyways. Yeah, I know. I look like my dad. I hear that all the time. Now that I'm grown, I do. I actually had blonde hair as a kid, though. You know, so it's funny. Like my son has blonde hair now, and everybody's like, "Oh, he looks like your wife," and he does. But I looked very similar to my son when I was a kid, right? But yeah, I do look like my dad. Yeah, you mean a red-tailed hawk? I think. All right, so again, the SPY got up to 562.50s. Red, green, or sideways? I really don't know, brother. I really don't know, man. I hope we get good action today, but genuinely don't know. Beard genetics are strong. My dad actually can't grow a full beard. Like this is like the most beard he could grow. So I get my beard genetics from my mom, actually. Shout out to my dad's beard, you know. Yeah. No, he doesn't watch birds. No, he trains hawks and hunts with them. But yeah, it's weird. Like everybody in my family were born with blonde hair, and then it kind of slowly changes colors, which is interesting. Like if you look at me, even right, like here's me as a freaking little kid. He watches my stream sometimes. He'll tell me he'll come in here and he'll like the stream. He'll never say anything though. Yeah, I have a red beard. Yeah, I have red in my beard for sure. Yeah. Should I sell Nvidia calls? I really don't know. I think Nvidia, there's going to be a lot of volatility leading into next week. So with less than a week left of Nvidia earnings, you know, with less than a week left of Nvidia earnings, you know, we'll see. I think it's going to be very volatile for Nvidia for sure. But yeah. No, that's me. That's me as a kid. But again, this is what my son looks like. My son looked like this when he was a kid, almost exactly like this, right? So it's kind of like we're born with blonde hair, and then over time it just turns really dark. Tesla still at 225s though. Toys R Us kid? Nah, dude. My parents would never bring me to Toys R Us. I always wanted to go. Like, as a kid that grew up in the 90s, Nvidia just broke over 130s. So Nvidia over 130s now. We'll see if it continues. Still pumping up. It's at 130.10s. So we got time. But as a kid that grew up in the 90s, I freaking loved Toys R Us. My parents would never let me go. It was too expensive. They would always bring me to like Walmart or Kmart at the time. But never Toys R Us. I would go there and I would never be able to get anything, with like a couple exceptions through my childhood. But I probably bought 2 or 3 things from Toys R Us my whole life. Never got to go. It's too expensive, right? Toys R Us, you had to pay a premium for the toys there versus like Walmart or Kmart. You paid more at Toys R Us than you did at those other stores. I played all of them, really. Yeah, just be careful with Nvidia. I always try to be smart and safe ahead of Nvidia earnings. There's just a lot of risks that could happen there, you know. So just be careful. Nvidia could run up really big. It could also crash really big as well. I'm gonna get ready to start day trading. Again, we're gonna use Top Step X here. We made like $600 or $700 yesterday. We're just gonna work on that. We also have our 50K funded account here today. So we'll get started here, I guess. Made a little bit yesterday too. I'll shrink myself down to size a little bit, and then I'm gonna short, I guess. Start a little introductory trade. We'll take 2 contracts here, and we're just gonna sit on it. We're at the top of the range. This is a triple top, and we've tapped it a couple different times. And so we're gonna look to attack choppiness today. I really think we're gonna have sideways action again today because of tomorrow's economic conference and Nvidia earnings. I think everybody's gonna be fearful leading into it, and so. Top 3 games: Zelda Ocarina of Time, Pokemon Red or Blue, and GTA Vice City, maybe. Like, I always like GTA 3 and Vice City, but you know, the third one we could probably argue a couple different ones for me. Top 3 subs and worst subs. For me, it's a guillotine. I like guillotines, guillotines, whatever you want to call them. That's what I tap people the most with, is guillotines. So, Gilly's number 1 for me. The second one I catch people with is probably a RNC, just a rear naked choke. Third one is probably like an Americana, maybe, or like or just like an armbar. You know, I like armbarring people from guard a lot. And then inverting and going stomach down with it. But, you know, I don't know. Whatever opportunities I have, I guess. I like doing the back take and then transitioning from like a back mount to armbar through the Kimura grip. Like, you get the Kimura grip, you put the elbow next to their head, and then transition to an armbar. I like doing that too, but I'm still learning, right? I'm still a white belt. Spazzy white belt, 2-stripe white belt. All right, we're finally green. I'm gonna add to this position. What do you think of Izzy losing? I mean, I think he lost. His striking looked good for the first few rounds, but you know, Dreykus' submission game's on point. You know, hard to beat. All right, I'm probably gonna cut this if it pushes up too much. We do have like a triple top, so I'm gonna cut it and just wait. Toys R Us is actually back around. You know, so I think Toys R Us filed for, I don't know if it was a reorganizational bankruptcy, but I think they're still around, right? Like, they came back. I know a lot of them shut down, but I still think the brand is still around. No? I see a Tiny, have a great day. Said, okay, I'm out. Just too tired to trade. All good. It's probably the best if you, yeah. Always got to have a good mindset. And so, respect, Tiny. Hope you have a good day. Adesanya is a counter striker. Yeah, we got manufacturing and services PMI data coming out too. So it's not ISM data, which is the Institute of Supply Management. It's just regular manufacturing and services. All right, guys. Let me get this ready. All right, guys. We're going to be day trading this report. We did pump up a little bit more. We're going to wait for it to settle a little bit. Let's see. We got unemployment data out. All right, so we do have, again, like I said, we got manufacturing and services PMI data today. We got jobless claims out. Jobless claims are already dropping. We got jobs data today, though. What else we got? All right, so we are here, guys. We got about 20. How long we got? We got about 25 minutes left. Yeah, top step is futures. Sorry, catch you back up with the chat now. I don't really day trade penny stocks. Again, I say this every day. Eastern time. I'll put a timer up for PMI. It's at 9:45 Eastern. But I don't really day trade penny stocks. The reason I don't is because I just kind of, the whole penny stock market is sketchy. What do I mean by that? I mean that penny stock market is propped up by people selling courses, and most of the courses are nonsense. You can find it all publicly available, and you know, the problem is that the niche of penny stocks is so cheap. It's such a low barrier of entry that everybody wants to believe through confirmation bias that they're going to be able to take a small penny stock account and just run it up to millions of dollars. But it's just not like that. And people market to traders like it is, and, you know, causes traders to lose a lot of money. And so I just kind of avoid penny stocks. It's a very unpredictable market. Big pump and dumps, big manipulation. The only people really making money in it are people selling courses, as well as like big money manipulating them is another way, you know. like front loading and then calling it out and then riding the pump up, and there's just so much sketchiness that happens from it. Same thing happening with crypto with small coins. Well, small coins are so heavily manipulated there too. Pity stock IPOs. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying there's some traders that can't make money doing it. I just avoid it if I can, you know. I'm gonna have to put like this up. Put this up. I want to get one that doesn't block it here. That's what we'll do. All right. So again, SPY and Nvidia pumping up a little bit today. Let's see if we get anything good. SPY up there, Nvidia up there too. All right, guys. So again, we're sitting waiting in Nvidia. We got 7 minutes left. 7 minutes left. Markets are going crazy. Yeah, the markets are going crazy, not from jobless numbers, right? Jobless numbers were mostly flat. The market's going crazy because Nvidia earnings estimates were revised up 10%. So Nvidia earnings, basically, relative to expectations from analysts, Nvidia earnings are going to be at a little bit higher than originally expected, and that revision was announced today. And that pumped Nvidia up to over 130. Consequently, the S&P and the NASDAQ both moved up with it, if that makes sense. So there's no stock futures. You know, quad witching day used to describe 4 different contract types expiring on the same day. It used to be stock futures, index futures, stock options, and index options, but they completely got rid of stock futures. I wish there were stock futures because you could actually day trade stock futures with no PDT rule because there's no PDT in futures. But now it's more so like, now there's no such thing as stock futures. And so when you hear people talk about quad witching, it's really only triple witching because there's no such thing as stock futures anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, with that said, on Top Step, you can day trade futures. The S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies and stuff like that. Right, and if you want to check out Top Step, here's the link. Again, a great way to help support your boy here on this channel. Top Step is one of the most legit. And again, the great part about Top Step, there's no trailing drawdown, right? So once you're funded, there's no trailing drawdown. The rules to get funded are a little bit like a little bit more stringent, but they're not bad. They're, you know, if you know what you're doing, you can get funded. And once you're funded, it's a lot easier to stay funded, you know. And so I think it makes perfect sense. Top Step, one of the most legit in the world. Again, they give you a demo. They test your skill with the demo. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose 49 bucks. So this is what you can do to limit your risk. Or if you don't have that much money and you want to get started for less, you can get started, get funded, 90% split once you're funded. So it's similar to putting the money up yourself. But the risk of risking money is so much less than somebody putting up 5K and losing that. Right, and the base one's 49 bucks, so it's 49 bucks a month. If you lose, it's genuinely not the end of the world, and it's a great way to learn. And so check it out here. I wish they had something like this when I first got started, but you know, that's how it goes, I guess. There's the link. Check it out. Appreciate the love. Tesla at 224, so Tesla dipping down too. We did get a pullback. We've had like a little triple top, but I mean, this is the reason this is the reason high of the day breaks just don't work very good for me, at least. Like, look, so we break this high, and then we dump on people. Experienced traders start taking profit, I think, and that's why high of the day breaks just don't work as well. Nvidia is also falling down a little bit too, so I mean, I'm sure that's not helping broad markets either, but yeah. Do you trade evals the same way as funded? No, much different, much different. And again, we are on Top Step X as well here. I'm pulling this up too, so we'll be trading on both of these today. Top Step X. You know, yesterday we had a good day. I think we made like 600 bucks on this challenge account, so we'll be playing with this too. But I'm gonna let some of the volatility slow down a little bit first, or we'll put this one up close to the opening bell. The Top Step X platform is really nice, to be honest, really solid. I'm trying to figure out the best way to maneuver this. I want to have the order screen up so I can take trades. Just move that to the side. There we go. I wonder how close I can squeeze this. Oh, that's nice. Okay, yeah, so I can squeeze it tiny there. And then there we go. That's nice. All right, cool. All right, guys, and then here's the manufacturing data live right there. Yeah, there's some fees, but I don't think there's any commissions. All right, guys, we got a minute and a half left. All right, so here's the opening bell. Less than a minute, guys. Less than a minute. All right, here we go. 30 seconds, chat. 30 seconds. It's the Purchasing Managers Index. Yeah, I think you can only... I mean, it's a monthly subscription, Jose. So you can always reset if you lose, though. If you lose, you can always reset. It's like... I think it's the same price to reset. So if you lose the account, you can always reset it and so forth, right? All right, guys, there's the opening bell here, guys. Watch Nvidia closely. We got to let the opening volatility settle down a little bit. So... Look at this big spike from Nvidia and the S&P and the Nasdaq at the opening bell. Wow, huge spike at the opening bell here, guys. Huge spike. I'm gonna short this. It's a very risky position. I like trying to cover the tops, but this is too risky. I gotta get out. So dumb trade. I think I'll buy in there, but it's all good. We might have made money on it. Yeah, I mean, you just have to cancel it if you only want to do 1 month. Tesla turning down too. All right, we're gonna put our funded account up here too. Big spike. And then a big dump at the opening bell too. Bull trap maybe. Yeah, big run up and then a pullback here. Alright, so we got this dump. I'm going to buy this here. It's a little bit too close to the opening bell, but I want to see if we get a bounce back up. There we go. 1 contract left. I'll add to it. Take a little bit off. Go into the green. We'll add to this again. Take half of it off. Protect it. And then we'll get out the rest flat if we need to. And we'll get out. So we went green on the day. Market's starting to flush down. So we did get that big rebound bounce here. I'm watching that video very closely. It's consolidating. And I did hit my $1,000 loss on one of the challenges for Top Step. It was just a challenge account. So this is an actual funded account. But this one's just a challenge account on Top Step X. Yeah. You can use it anywhere, I'm pretty sure, Michael. Timers for manufacturing and services PMI that drops at 9:45 market time. So we are getting a big rebound back up. I kind of got to sit tight and wait. The question is, are we going to get choppiness leading into PMI data's report is the question, and I don't know. Yeah, you can see this other one we're up. We made about 1,100 today, to be honest. So we're playing with this now. I can only make about 1,500 per day. All right, so there's a little bit more. Flat. I'll add to it. Oof, big drop. I don't like this turnaround, so we're gonna have to get out. I gotta see how much I'm up on this one today alone. So we're still up about 750 in this account. I don't know if we're gonna get choppy or not, or if I should try to play that. Very large pullback. big retracement. So yeah, like I said, I don't know if we're gonna get chop or not, or if I should try to play that chop or do what with it. Market's starting to try to spike up a little bit more too. See if it goes. Alright, so we are up 5,100 on this Top Step X challenge here. Gold collapse. Is gold down? Yeah, gold, I mean, I wouldn't call it a collapse. Gold recently broke all-time highs, right? Like, this is ahead of the Jackson Hole Symposium Economic Conference tomorrow. So, I think it's a little premature to call it a collapse. So this looks strong, but again, we have had completely choppy action. We got 6 minutes left. We'll go back to our actual funded account here and try to trade some size now. This looks very choppy to me, so I'm gonna start buying 4 contracts here at the bottom range. I can't really add any more to it. See if we get a spike back up. This is very neutral behavior right now, so it's hard to engage. Small size though, pretty small at least. The whole market might be waiting for PMI data to drop at 9:45 in 5 minutes. Yeah, I gotta cut it. Oh my gosh, I accidentally just added to this. I really didn't mean to. I really didn't mean to add to it. Crap. Oh my gosh, I just did it again. Hold on, guys. I keep thinking I'm long, but I keep thinking I'm short, but really I'm long. Dumb mistake on my part. I really didn't mean to add to it. I promise you I didn't. Oof. I guess it happens, but man. Definitely a little emotional now about it. I'm gonna scale down. Part of me wants to take 5 contracts and try to ride a bounce up, but I also think that's kind of risky. We'll switch accounts and get out of that one. So we'll put the Top Step X platform back up. We're gonna take half off, just try to protect the trade. We did get a nice little spike up here though, but then a big rejection. Kind of flat on this trade so far. I can also add to this. I gotta see where my balance is at. My balance is at $1,060 currently. I took half of it off. All right, so we're up 1,300 today. We're about halfway there to getting funded on this one. This account I'm going to switch to a different account so that I don't end up giving two back. Big emotional mistake on my end, which happens to all traders, right? But it's probably best that I don't keep trying to push and press that account, I think. No, it's just not the move. I think we got 4 minutes left until, so we're going to switch to a different account that doesn't have, that we haven't traded on at all today, a different funded account. We are getting choppiness like we thought we would, though. So honestly, my initial thesis was absolutely correct. Let's see if we can scalp a little bit here. You know, sometimes your thesis can be absolutely right and you can just mismanage the trade, which is exactly what happened there. All right, scalp this a little bit. Dude, I am just clicking all over the place today, man. I didn't mean to get out the whole position there either. I'll add to it here and see if we can catch a dump. There we go. Choppiness thesis works, right? We can play it, but man. Oh, here, my bad. If you want Top Step, here's the link, bro. Here, I'll put the link up to where you can reference it. I'll have to change my Nightbot cues. All right, so I think I just updated, so you should be able to do exclamation point top step if you guys ever. Wait, where'd it go? All right, guys, here we go. The data's coming out in a minute and a half. All right. Big breakdown here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'll have to change the command a little bit. What's weird is it stopped. Oh, it's number 2. Okay, there it is. Yeah. There we go. Now it should be better. All right, choppiness, guys. We got less than a minute here, though. Less than a minute. We got about 800 people here live. Good luck. Let's see how this data affects markets. This timer's a little bit early, so a tad bit early. We still got about 30 seconds left until this data release comes out. Market's very flat, choppy leading into it. Yeah, gold's down a ton. Too much coffee? Probably, realistically. Yeah, it happens to day traders for sure. Again, in this account, we're up like 1,300 bucks on our Top Step X platform. So we're doing pretty good on this one. All right, here we go. Here's the report. Expectations are 49.5 for manufacturing, 48 for manufacturing, lower than expected manufacturing PMI. Services came in higher than expected at 55.2. 55.2. Markets turning downward on this pressure from this economic reports. Again, manufacturing PMI showed up at 48, lower than 49.5 expected. Services showed up at 55.2 versus 54. So weaker manufacturing, stronger services sector. And I think the market likes stronger services. It's kind of flat between manufacturing and services. But again, manufacturing was weaker, services was stronger than expected here. Harker is also speaking right now. The Fed Harker says they're ready to start the process of cutting rates. They want gradual and methodical course of rate cuts. He says they're ready to start the process. Yeah. Market is going up, not down. Well, the market's not really doing anything right now, I would say. It's kind of just choppy and flat and neutral. It's been going up and down. I think the whole market's fearing the economic symposium that we have going on tomorrow with Jerome Powell. And again, we will stream the entire thing completely live. So if you have not already, hit the sub button, hit the notification bell. Continue to help support the growth we got. We appreciate the love. We do this live every single weekday for free right here on YouTube. So if you haven't already, again, check out my sponsor, Top Step. Top Step gives you a demo. They test your skill with a demo account. You can trade the QQQ price action in the NASDAQ. You can day trade the S&P price action, the SPY price action, and SPY futures and the S&P futures. I mean, no PDT rolled futures. You can day trade. The patterns are very similar to blue chip stocks. You can get started for $50 a month, basically. If you pass their test, you get $50K in funding. If you lose, you're only out $50. And once you pass it, there's a 90% split. So it's similar to putting the money up yourself. Great way to hedge against bigger losses, funding your own accounts. And a great way for new traders to learn how to day trade with limited risk. And most pro day traders trade futures over stocks. So check them out. There's actually more liquidity in futures too. So far, we're still pretty choppy. The Jackson Hole is tomorrow at 10 a.m. What's your thought about revised job figures yesterday? I mean, I don't think it's a good look for the economy, but I don't also think it had a big impact like people thought. I think the market mostly reacted well yesterday. Nvidia earnings are revised upward, and so it kind of shows the economy and the market are two different animals sometimes. SPY starting to move down a little bit today, though. Again, y'all hit that subscribe button as well, chat, if you haven't already. I appreciate it. We're still growing. We only need a couple hundred subs to hit it. We'll almost certainly hit this tomorrow, you know. All right, sideways choppy action, although the SPY is actually going down a little bit. Nvidia's looking stronger, though. Nvidia just broke over the 200 EMA, over the volume-weighted average price, over the 130 whole dollar level, and it looks pretty strong here, to be honest. So we'll try to day trade here. I'm not going to trade this. I've already made enough on that. See what Nvidia does. Kind of looks bullish to me, even though it's a choppy downward trend. The reason it looks bullish to me is because Nvidia just broke over these big levels, and so it could spike up higher. I wanted to buy that dip. I didn't quite catch it though. Scalping, we're up about 40. Now we're down. I'll exit and then re-enter down here at the bottom of the range. But we might have a delayed reaction to yesterday's reports also. 4 contracts. All right. Hello? Hi. No, I'm still working. I'm still streaming. Alright. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I never changed my ringtone, guys at home. So I just never changed it. It's the same ringtone I've always had. Yeah, 4 weeks is a long time. Yeah. Well, here, baby, I'm still streaming. Okay. All right, baby. All right, I love you. Bye. Yeah, probably. All right, love you too. Bye. Sorry, guys. Wife calls. All right. Top 3 dinosaurs in the world right now. I love how you love your family. I love how you love that I love my family. All right, guys. Hey, we're starting to bounce back. We'll see what happens. SPY back over the 200 EMA. Still looks a little weak, though. So, downward trending for sure. Why does she always call you around this time? Are you married? If you're married, you'll understand. Nvidia back up. So Nvidia started to look. Nvidia very choppy sideways. What did I tell you guys? I thought we would get choppy. We're still too early to tell, though. It's still pretty early. Existing home sales is insignificant. No? Well, anybody married understands. Existing home sales relatively insignificant, to be honest. But yeah, we're sitting tight waiting here. Again, tomorrow's a massive day. Tomorrow's huge. So we gotta just sit tight, wait for the good or bad reports. We'll see. Again, this is a funded account program. Check out TopStep if you're interested in trading with me. It's just a good way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose. Great way to limit your risk. Still not risk too much when you're learning. You can still get the fear in. You're still fearing the market. You still have some pressure. It's just not the full pressure of risking $5,000 as a brand new day trader. It just doesn't make sense. Check it out. Link is in the description. Top 3 worst trader and best trader of all time ever in the world right now. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. We're turning it into the top 3 finance YouTube channels in the world. Hit the subscribe button. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Understand CFTC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations, guys. Tomorrow's a big day. The biggest day of the week for sure. PMI was mixed. Weaker manufacturing but stronger services sector. So mixed. Yeah. Honestly, John, it is so refreshing to see you and your wife having this inspiring relationship. There's no perfect couple for sure, but you seem to interact with your wife the way you do is inspiring. I mean, yeah, I mean, I love her. She loves me. We're all good. I'm not sure what I did to make it inspiring, but, her and I have been together for 14 years. So, I mean, we've been together for a while. We're a family. We got kids. So, yeah. Drawdown per trade. So there's a max drawdown in everything. There's not a trailing drawdown on TopStep, though, which is really nice. It's relative to, I think, where you start the day. There's a daily max loss that doesn't disqualify you. But just check out the rules, guys. Check out the rules. I'm not blushing. I think it's... Look, Carol and I got a great relationship, right? We've been together for a long time. Like, our relationship is stable for sure. But you guys only see what we show you, Like, real relationships, like, you're going to have fights. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have arguments. You're going to have, you're going to have good and bad times, The relationships that make it work are the relationships that are committed to each other regardless if things are good or bad. Like, an example of this is, like, you hear some people be like, I just wasn't happy. Well, in a relationship, you're not always freaking happy. Sometimes you go long periods of time without being happy, right? But that's not the point. The point isn't to always be happy. That's a selfish mindset. You got to just understand, like, that's your family. You're with them hell or high water, and that's life. Anyways, top 3 best and worst relationship advisors in the world right now. So definitely top 3 worst advisors relationship-wise in the world right now. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong. Carol's one of my top 3 wives ever. I'll see you guys later. I love you all. Y'all have a great day. Be safe. Don't lose too much money. We'll be back tomorrow for Jackson Hole Symposium and Jerome Powell. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good.